so we're going to do something a little different. I had talked about here for a while doing a channel recommendation video, which started to come to realize more and more that there's just so much out there channel-wise that I want to do in a series. And then as I thought even more, I was like, you know what? I actually am going to do this. That's not just channel recommendations, but it's also content. Because really, at the end of the day, there's some really, really neat content out there, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, stuff on Facebook, even like TikTok, which I don't do TikTok at this stage, but you know, you have that. Then also web pages, whether they be vlogs or blogs. And then as well, I'd like to focus on some of the tools of the trade, sort of websites, maybe apps that wind out being really important in the content creator's journey. So this series is going to be a little bit more like, I would say, like the J.P. Walborn Life of a Writer. So the idea behind it is going to be the journey of a content creator. Just sort of let you into the world a little bit of what the world you're getting into it is like, what all comes with it. And then also it's sort of, because there's three individuals that are viewers, subscribers, that they have started their own channels as well. So I would like to sort of go through, and then maybe it gives people a little bit of idea of, hey, maybe I want to start my own channel as well and be a content creator, and just give you an idea of what that all entails. So we're gonna do this first one sort of as a country roads take me home, just because it's easier, plus I get to sit in the air conditioning. So I'm gonna try to keep this pretty short and concise. Part of this where I tell the story, I'm gonna do this way, then maybe try to figure something out to actually talk about the different channels, because there'll be three of them that I talk about. I want to talk about a blog that I talked about in a previous video, Reed's Fort, which I had forgotten the name at that stage, but I'm gonna put in the comments at the bottom of the video. I will be putting the links to all these different sites, like Find a Grave app, which I'm going to talk about. That's not going to be necessary, but I will put the railroad rail stations website that I use for that series. So with that, I'm going to start out by talking about what got me into this. And I talked about it several times. I had thought about it for a long time, but I just never had the courage to do it. And I think a lot of things held me back. I was like, oh, well, I got to have the right camera, and I got to have this, and I got to have that, and that'll wind out making it perfect. And I just never got to that stage. And then I started to go out with Cliff. Cliff's earlier part of his channel was less series oriented. Like, he's doing the Union Canal series, the series on Bigfoot now. He's doing a series on the French and Indian War and all that stuff. Before, it was sort of, he went to a lot of abandoned places. He also went to a couple of mines, caves, that type of stuff. A lot of coal type places. So I started going with him on some of those, because it really is, some of that stuff is a little dangerous. Well, a lot of it's dangerous, and he wanted to have somebody there just in case something did happen. So I believe the first one I went with, he actually went into, I don't know if it was a mine or it was one, but it was up in I think it's called Bear Valley or Bear Mountain. It's one of those two. And then he went into another area where he went down, I guess it was the ruins of what had been sort of like the changing rooms and bathrooms of it was a mine complex. And so it was pretty cool areas, but that was sort of my introduction to it, and I just sort of went along on a couple videos here and there. And then we started doing the series, the Searching for History. And Cliff had said to me a number of different times, he's like, yeah, I think this is something you really enjoy. And For those of you who don't know, I say Cliff is the Wandering Woodsman. He's the one that got me into it, and I started going to a couple of the YouTube content creator meetups, and some of those were set up by Jay from JP Videos. One was set up by Cliff, and it was just stuff that was a lot of fun, and definitely very, very cool, definitely something different, and I really honestly was not sure what I wanted to do in that regard. That was until I wound up having the surgery last year, and that sort of changed my perspective on things, and was like, you know what, I can't go through life being afraid to try something new, and I decided, why not? And on July 4th of last year, Cliff was taking me to the Old Hanover Presbyterian Cemetery, and I decided to start filming. I think the first stuff that I filmed for the Facebook channel was at the Millersburg Ferry, which we'll return to at some point. But it was just one of those things that it just sort of happened, and then I just started to get ideas and sort of went with the ideas for different series and the way I wanted to do the channel, and it just sort of happened from there. And that's probably the biggest encouragement that I would say to people, that if you do decide to do something like this, don't let sort of the fear keep you from doing something, because I'll tell you, I wouldn't trade this for anything. This has been an absolute blast, and there's been low points. There's been points because of my health, there's a lot of issues, but I've also had to deal with a few nutty people, which that is one thing that as your channel grows, unfortunately, you'll have people that are nasty, people that are ignorant, because there's a lot of people out there that just don't care, and they sort of speak to you like you're garbage, and you can't let that get to you. You got to be thick-skinned, and you have to be firm with your channel. So if people are being ignorant, block them, kick them off, because it's less headache for you. And some of them I've had them come back, and you just kick them out again, until they may eventually get the point. And then there are some, because I know there's some people that Cliff deals with, that they just create account after account after account, and it's just sort of nuts. But I haven't had to deal with anything to that degree yet, but it does happen. It sort of is what it is, and but at the end of the day, I feel it's worth it. I just think it's so cool to be able to do this, and it's been really, really cool to see individuals that have chosen to do this and are doing well with it. And so I have an appreciation for it, because it is a struggle. It takes time, and I encourage people as well, if you feel as though you're not getting anywhere, don't give up. Keep on working. Like, my channel's been really weird because, being best friends with Cliff, I got a lot of help in that regard, and I had a lot of people come over from the Wandering Woodsman crowd, so I was sort of a known commodity, if you will, and that made the struggle a little bit easier. So in continuing, as we're heading back to Monroe Valley here, over here is going to be that John, I think it's a Weidman, I believe it's Lieutenant John Weidman. I also did a bunch of different videos. A country road to take me home back through here, and that one spooky video on the pond monster, because I couldn't really find where that thing actually was. And then Monroe Valley Chapel, of course, which is one of my favorite places in the world. It's just so pretty back through here. It really is one of those really beautiful valleys, the Monroe Valley, and there's also a lot of cool history. But anyways, so the channel, it was just one of those things. I was really, really fortunate with Cliff that I had somebody that, and with being, like I said, a known commodity with, there's those ponds, with the Wandering Woodsman crowd, it made my channel journey quite a bit easier than most people. But I would just encourage people, don't give up. Just keep on trying. if try different things. Don't be afraid to try different things, because it's most of the stuff, weirdly, that I've tried has worked pretty well. But that's been sort of the journey of the channel, and it's been, you guys have followed me. You've followed the ups and downs with the health, and then of course, just 2 months ago now, the second round of surgeries, which was 4 surgeries, which was not pleasant, but I'm doing really, really well. So I think the channel's got a great future ahead. We talk about it all the time, a lot of cool stuff coming up. But this is one of those things I want to do because I was fortunate and I was blessed by Cliff. I was blessed by several different people. It's just one of those things I want to pass that blessing on as well. And quite frankly, the individuals that I'm going to talk about have blessed me extraordinarily. Just with the communications, with going out and doing the viewer submitted videos. They really are phenomenal human beings, and I'm really lucky to call them friends. And there you can see the mountain range here. That's the Blue Mountain over there. Over on the other side is Little Mountain. That's the one that's sort of in between. It's the Midget Mountain in between the mountain ranges. But and we've visited so much history in this area. It's just really, it really is one of those things. I don't view this, some people get weirdy about this stuff, but I don't see this as a competition. We're all going for the same thing. We're all trying to preserve history and to, make something of this. And it is, honestly, a goal is as well as just maybe able to be a vocation, if you will. Like my photography's gone well. That's going to start selling here shortly. Channel isn't that far away from being something that's monetized. So, instead of just breaking even or, even continuing to invest in the channel, I'll actually be able to get like an income out of it, which will be nice, because really I'm not sure right now what I'm all going to be able to handle work-wise. There's certain things that I'm going to try to do that I feel like I can handle physically. There's a water wheel and then the windmill that we're up here. But here is, and we'll pull in here and talk a little bit just because I love this place, Monroe Valley Chapel. And back there's the cemetery. This was a Moravian chapel. Oh, they do. They have a little barn back there now. That's cool. I'm hoping. The last time I was here, the guy was talking about they were hoping to get something that they could put the benches there. We'll back up a little bit, and then that'll be our view, which will be a nice. Of course, this whole thing is just a beautiful view. But anyways, so I want to talk about these channels. I want to talk about these pages, and just these are cool people, cool pages, and the time that goes into it. They're well worth checking out. And I'll talk a little about each channel and about each person a little bit. So the first channel I'm going to talk about is Colleen Unvarnished. And her Instagram is exactly the same. I'll post both her Instagram and her YouTube channel page. Colleen is who came up with the idea for the viewer submitted videos. The original intent was for it just to be like the Pennsylvania historic markers, but it's turned into, hey, whatever, anything, because there's a lot of stuff that's really been cool. We're actually from Cheryl, who we'll talk about here in a little bit. I'm starting that series, Hometown Destinations, which is like really cool places. They might have a historic marker with them, but they're really cool places just to make a day trip to. And you don't have to be in Pennsylvania for you to do that. I mean, if you want to submit something, submit. We now have, I think, 5 or 6 people that are now submitting things, and I want to try to get back onto that starting tomorrow, because people have put their time into it. I want to make sure I'm putting my time into it and putting those out. It's just been sort of weird and busy and all that. But yeah, but Colleen has a really cool channel. She's done stuff like all kinds of stuff. She just did one on Christy Matheson not that long ago. I guess her travels take her along the National Road. She did a couple videos on that. She really brings out the historic facts and is just really fun and organized and just really nice. She does a really good job with her channel. So check out Colleen Unvarnished. You know, Colleen has been very, very good to this channel. She's one of those individuals that has helped make this channel into what it is today. So thank you, Colleen. Check out Colleen Unvarnished. Second channel I want to talk about is Cheryl. Cheryl is awesome. I'm just going to say that right now. Cheryl's awesome. Her son Chris is awesome. They have a channel called Sun Plus One. I'm not sure. I think she might have an Instagram, but I'm just going to put her YouTube page. Cheryl, you can let me know if you do have an Instagram that you want me to post in the comments. I will do that as well. But Cheryl and Chris have that natural charm in videos, because sometimes you have people where they're sort of like meow, 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 meow. They do well, very well in film, good voices for film, and great videos. They do a lot of hiking. They visit a bunch of different historic places. Cheryl also has a lot of knowledge with natural medicine, so she talks a lot about that. So there's also, you're going to glean quite a bit of good information from Cheryl on those subjects as well. There's things that you might say, hey, this is a health problem I'm having right now, and Cheryl talks about it, and it's something that can be a big help for you. But she's got a great channel. They put a ton of effort into it. She's put a bunch of time into going out on her own dime to film places and get pictures for me for the viewer submitted series. So I really, really respect that with Cheryl and her son Chris. Once again, this is another really, really cool channel. Go and subscribe, hit like. One of the biggest things with YouTube is how they sort of gauge how much they put your content out there. Is what they have is like I'm trying to think what the name of it is, but you have like reactions, things like that. It's all about, you know, every like, every view, every subscription, any one of those things notifies YouTube that there's interest. Even dislikes, weirdly, that helps your channel in a weird way as well. That they're like, okay, there's interactions is what they call it. I couldn't think of it for a second there, but the interactions wind out helping, really at the end of the day, for YouTube to start putting your videos out there, putting ads on your videos, things of that nature, which all garner more attention for your channel to help it to grow, which is, at the end of the day, is really the focus of a channel. Is you want to grow your channel, not only to get your content out there, but as you want to grow it as something that you can, hey, this is something I can wind out making a salary off of. Not that it's money or anything, because I hate to talk about it that way, but it is one of those things. Going out and doing this costs money. You know, fuel isn't cheap right now. If you go out and you have to stay in a hotel or something like that, or like Cliff does with campsites, that all costs money, and that's why they have Patreon pages for these channels and things like that. I don't have one yet because I don't think it's appropriate, because I want to make sure I have my channel back to where I'm consistent with my content, where I'm happy and satisfied with it. But everybody has their own amount of content they put out there. Really, like, Cheryl has been diligent. Her and Chris have really been diligent with getting content out there. So check them out. I really encourage you to check them out. Check out Colleen. They do fantastic work on their channels. And drop them a line, just comment. That's another interaction, just to say, hey, we really appreciate what you do, and go from there. Third channel is my friend Angela, is out in central Pennsylvania. She has a channel called A Trail to the Past. I believe she also has an Instagram of the same name. Whether she really, I gotta make sure whether she wants me to put that out there or not. Angela, you can let me know. But I will put her YouTube page. She has one video right now. It's just been busy as of late, but she wants to do a lot of stuff with the naturalistic type hiking, that type of stuff. So this is a channel to look forward to. Subscribe And as always with any of these channels, there's a, where you hit subscribe, there's a little bell thing icon. Hit that and it'll let you know, like, do you want to get notified every single time a video is out, and you could personalize it and say, I only want to see every 7th video or whatever. You really don't have that option, but it's another interaction, and it helps you to be notified of when videos come out. But those are 3 really awesome channels. Check them out, and I'll have in the comments, I'll have all of them. Now, I'm going to talk about tools. One of the tools that I use, that I do a lot of cemeteries. I remember early on in the channel, I was sort of bumbling around like an idiot, and I kept on having Jay, Rebecca was another one. They kept on saying, John, just get the Find a Grave app. It'll be awesome. And Jay was 100% right. It is a great app. It does help you to know what you're looking at. Also, you can find out if you can very specific things, like is there a famous person buried here, to give you a little more information for your video. A lot of times I'll have at the bottom of, when you click on one of the cemeteries, it'll have some history, whether there was a church associated with it at one time, maybe even a little bit of a church that is associated with it. It'll say, have a bunch of history there as well. So it's a phenomenal app. It does help you as well, because a lot of times some of these really old cemeteries, a lot of it's empty, especially like a cemetery like this, a Moravian cemetery, and they probably don't have quite a bit of it, because that whole area there should all be cemetery, but they had squatters that were here in the 50s, and they sort of destroyed everything. Plus, being a Moravian cemetery, the stones are flat, so a lot of them probably are still under there, but they're unreadable, because the stones that are flat are just, they wear a lot quicker than the ones that are upright, just sort of the natural wear of stone. But it's such a cool app. I encourage you, if you have an interest in cemeteries, and it's not morbid, I find it's history. It's history in writing. It's history all around us. Every single one of these people had a story. Findagrave.com or Find a Grave app, which I find to be the best. Most of us have smartphones now, I would think, and it's a real easy app to use. It's a great tool, and I'm so thankful I have it. The other tool that I use for America's rail stations, and I'll wind out talking about different series, say these are the app or the web pages or apps, whatever they might be, that I use with that series in particular. It's called west2k.com, and I don't know if it's just Pennsylvania, but it literally has every single rail station that still physically stands today, whether it's in rail station form, like say the Annville or the Palmyra stations, or if it's like the Myerstown station, which is now a business. It has the shape and form somewhat of the old rail station, but they have old pictures of the original stations. They also have the information on all the stations that no longer exist. And a lot of times they have pictures of those, but it's such a great resource, and they have it for every county in Pennsylvania. It's just an invaluable tool. And it was Michael that let me know about that. I think I had accidentally found it before he had said something, but I didn't know what I had come across. He's the one that explained what it was for, and how it would really be a great help for that series. So thank you, Michael. I say thank you, Jay, as well, and Rebecca, for getting on me about the Find a Grave app. Great tools, so awesome that they just make this job a lot easier. It's like research on your palm of your hand. Last but not least, I actually just got talking to her. So I just got talking to Laura, and I had talked about her page specifically. I do the Pennsylvania Historic Marker series, and one of the sites I came across was a site called Marker Quest. And what she does with her blog is she goes and researches each of these, and she goes all over the state. I mean, it's impressive what she does. Like, she has an itinerary, and like, I'm going here on such and such and date or whatever. but she really gets the research down. Like, she had talked about when I was doing the Reed's Fort, I think I had done, it was something to do with, it was with the forts, but it had to do with maybe with the Hanover results, but it was also to do with the soldiers, the Paxton boys and Paxton riflemen. And I had gotten a couple different videos I had done for the Pennsylvania historic markers. A lot of times it's very, very difficult to find information on some of these markers. They're historically significant, but it's very, very difficult to actually find information sometimes. And this was a resource because it was so well written, it was so well researched, and it was just, I was really impressed with it. But I couldn't think of the name of the blog at the time in Reed's Fort. But Laura, you're awesome. We want to try at some time to do a collab of some sort, to get together and talk about, you know, do a video or whatever. She definitely is one of the people I'd like to talk to, like Jared I've talked about before, that they're very involved with preserving history as the modern hometown heroes, because it really, a lot of times people don't understand what all goes into it. Some of my stuff, I can get it done, my research, pretty darn quickly. But there's other stuff that you put a lot of time into it, and when you have resources like that somebody's put in that kind of effort and done such a great job, like she just did a blog on Reed's Fort, and I appreciate the mention of my channel by Laura, but I learned so much, and it was cool to see the connections, because one of Reed's daughters actually married John Harris, who founded Harrisburg, which is the state capital of Pennsylvania. That's something I had no inclination of whatsoever. Really cool to learn that. And it's just cool how history, everything's connected. I mean, there weren't a ton of people back then, so them running into each other wasn't like a big, ooh, you know, surprise, especially that they were reasonably important people in their areas, positions of leadership, which Adam Reed was. But it's still so neat to learn that type of stuff. So this is such a cool site. If you want to learn about Pennsylvania historic markers all over the state, Marker Quest is the site to go to. And I will put that, the Facebook page, the actual web page, I want to put all that up for you. And that way you guys can check it out and see for yourself how cool it is. But so that's, every single time I say, oh, it's not going to be that long, it winds up being long. But these were all things and people that are worth talking about for a good period of time. So those will all be in the comments, all the links and that type of stuff. And I just want to say thank you to all those individuals. We'll be doing more of these. This is just sort of the semi-introduction. And I'll talk about different aspects, maybe talk about a series in particular, what motivated me to do that series, and then go into the content creators. Because I do want to talk about some of the big ones, which would be the Wandering Woodsman, JP videos, and I want to talk about a number of my other friends, like Simply Exploring and Adventuring with Lewis. I want to talk about Mr. Smith Net, my friend Alan Kloss, the Revenge of the Apocalypse. I want to talk about his channel, and a number of these other individuals that put so much time into this content creation, other tools, other websites, people that are doing stuff that maybe it's just photography, but photography is so cool. I'm really falling in love with that. And just talk about these different avenues of experiencing and exploring the world around us, the history, current affairs, all that type of stuff. It's so cool to see that stuff, and it's just entertainment in general, because you have so much right now of the negativity, and so many of these things, they add a positive vibe to our world, and it leaves you feeling good. You know, really at the end of the day, what we should be doing is we should be edifying our fellow people and making their lives better, making them feel better about themselves, bringing them up, and inspiring one another. Because really the greatest inspiration out there for any of us is each other. Kindness can be a simple act, but can save a life. It can make all the difference in the world, and that's why doing these types of things, it has impacts that you don't realize. That's one of the things that has been the most rewarding for doing this channel, is getting letters, emails, whatever it is, from individuals that say your channel means so much, because you're just thinking like, I'm just doing this, I'm enjoying myself, but there's something to it as well that really brings people up, and that's a tremendous privilege to be able to do that. So thank you to you all, as always. I say it over and over again, but this channel has been great for me in a lot of ways. Not only just because of the surgeries and that sort of that downer part of life, but just in general, it's like, it's a good pick-me-up. You know, it makes you feel good about your life, and like, okay, I can make it through this stuff, and that's what I'm hoping I'm able to do for individuals out there as well, to just say, hey, carry on, my wayward son. You know, it's life is a journey, and it can be one of those things, ups and downs, and really take you for a ride, but it's also an adventure that's very worthwhile taking. And if you don't put your foot out onto that path, you'll never know, and maybe you'll get swept away for a little bit and wind out in a place you don't know. But explore, discover, figure out what's going on out there, and enjoy your life. So thank you, everybody, as always. And I always say it as like, we'll see you all about town. Truly, truly, I hope I see you all about town. Thanks, everybody.